and I feel I know this how Halle Bailey DDG stuff is just messed up, man. It's a situation in which the child is a priority, and it's being shown that the child isn't through a lot of the things that are going on from both parties. Now, DDG wants to see his son. Holly's like, you know what? Since you can't care about me and my Lois, I'm bitter about your life, and I hate the fact that you hate the way that I live. No care for you. And guess what? I'm going to tell people that you've been a danger to me so that you get no care. So here's how this goes, right? In the government, right? When politics, when you think of things like domestic violence, the thing people don't realize is that the police have to treat the accused as if they are of imminent danger. Meaning this: if a woman were to accuse me as a man of harming her person and her body and possibly being a threat to the well-being of me and her child, God forbid, speak to my life.
Coming up next, the Clippers
the police
taking on the Rockets.
Take it
For the
serious.
Clippers, they
Even
have to
with
feel blessed, losing only once in the last 9 games.
information. And she's like, I want a restraining order against this man because I just don't want him around me. They can grant a restraining order for you if you don't like something. That can happen. This has happened. She pulled up out of context screenshot messages
Welcome to
that will
2K
probably
Sports.
stretch
We have
beyond
the
reality.
NBA coming up. Great to have you with us. I'm Brian Anderson at the table with
For
Grant Hill
a restraining
and Brent Barry.
order,
Our
and
reporter
then
is Allie
submitted more
LaForce.
documents to receive
We are now
full
into
custody
November,
of her
so
child.
let's check in on the standings in the Western Conference. Taking a look at
DDG
Los
in
Angeles.
return
They're sitting
brought
at the
in
top of their conference
162
right now with the number 1 record.
page
And of
document
course, the Rockets
that
a
would
game
that
I
would
think for Houston,
possibly
what's
clear
impressive
his
is they've
name
reached
and
much of
also
their potential
show
this
proof
year.
that there was
The
aggression
big
on
question,
both
though,
sides
people
of
are
this
asking is,
relationship.
do they have what it
DDG
takes to
being
become
accused
a
of cheating.
front runner?
When people say that they were not cheating,
success. Maybe they're not at the
well,
top of the
I don't
standings where they
care
hope
if
they'd
it's a
be.
part of a
They're in
legal
really good
case.
position in terms of the playoff picture.
If
And
it's a
now
part
the
of a
Los
legal
Angeles
case
starters.
and you hopped on the
Howard
internet
Leonard,
and
the
said, oh,
veteran
we're
set
not
on the
dating, we
wings.
never did this, or we didn't do
Batum
that,
at
this,
power
or we did
forward
that,
with
and the third,
Zubats at center. And
you
it's
are
Harden
now,
8-1.
would
And
be,
for
you
Houston,
would literally be
Van Vliet
lying.
and Green, they're manning the
That's what
backcourt.
you're doing.
Smith out
And
there with Jock
at this
Landale.
point,
And it's the
you
Green.
are putting
And
the
it's a
person
three.
at risk
And the
by
NBA
lying.
season is such a grind, Brent.
If
Anything
the
you did in
Pope,
the middle of the
if
year
it
to
is
keep
said
focused.
that
NBA,
DDG and
sometimes it's
Lala
about
were to
shrinking in a
have
little
been
bit
having
and going
sex
back
while they
to
were
your
in Mexico,
habits, continuing to do
and both of
consistently
those
what it
individuals
is that's
came
going
out
to
and said
prepare
they
you for the
didn't have
best
sex in
performance. So
Mexico.
peeling that stuff away
That
is
is
sometimes
the
really important
story
when the season
that they
gets to
have
this
to
point.
bring up in
And
court.
Houston
If
has
they don't bring
possession.
it up in court,
After the Clippers picking up the
DDG's
basket, just a moment
evidence, a
ago.
majority
And
of
the
his
shot goes
evidence will
down.
then be
And
further
setting the
questioned
tempo with an
to
assertive
be
move. Like,
true,
where was the defense on
misinterpreted,
that
or
play?
whatsoever,
Yeah,
and then they can push the
APB
case
sent
further
out to
and
try to
farther
find out where the
to
defense
develop
is
more information to
inexcusable.
possibly put him in a
Now
jail.
here's Powell.
That's exactly
Offensively,
how
he's been a
this goes.
force. He's
It's
putting up
always
around
been that way.
19 points a game.
And Batum
So
can
in the
still knock down
circumstances
threes. He
that
gives you that kind of gravity that the offense relies on.
Obviously, everyone knows
Well,
about
under
the
the
defense of
circumstances
Kawhi
that
Leonard,
that is the
but
case,
Graham, his shooting is
DDG
overlooked.
in the most
Yeah, you know, he's at
50%
about
would be good
40% from three for his
because they
career.
would have
You combine
evidence
that
that
with this wing
says
defense, you get a
that he
one-on-one player capable
and
of
Hallie
carrying a team.
Yeah, just
were
effortless on
having
his drives. I mean, Smith is such
relationship
a smooth
problems,
finisher.
and
Very
DDG was
agile
not
for a guy with his size.
reasonable in
That
helping
was a
her
good
solve
call.
her
The
issues,
defense wasn't established.
and ultimately it led to the decline in her mental health and the possibility of her threatening the life of his child. Now, the screenshots DDG has are from last May. He doesn't have recent screenshots because I'm so sorry. There's no way you blame. I get the postpartum is true. Postpartum depression is real. And breaking up and then having postpartum depression is not good. But you can't blame that for the entire outcome of every action that you do. That is extremely unreasonable. It's not like bipolar disorder. It's not like you having like Down syndrome or something like that. Autism where it's effective every day, every moment of your life. It's circumstantial. That's not like it's a hormonal thing. It's not a brain chemistry thing. Hormones change. Your brain chemistry doesn't really change at all unless it's degrading. So it's a bit of a difference. It's a bit of a difference. The thing is, there was screenshots and information being released since 2022. Since 2022, there has been screenshots that DDG was able to present of her being a possible danger to him and the children, her and the child. For 2022, she showed that she was a danger to herself, and DDG still stayed with her
First
and
minute and a half of
developed their
basketball played here
relationship.
in this one. Powell passes to Zubac.
Baby Halo was
Gets
not
hauled in by
even
Landale.
conceived yet
Love to see guys challenge
because
one
Halo
another
was
like
born,
that. Advantage to the defense that time.
I believe, like the math was right, almost
Here's
like
the great. Last game out, he had 44.
a year and a half
Green,
later.
the pass to the great. To the middle.
That his conceiving
The kick
date
out to Van
was
Vliet. Shot clock
about
at 5.
a little more than half
Shoots over
that
Powell.
time.
The Clippers grab
So
the
it's
miss.
like
Well, they shouldn't be giving that shot
half
to
the time
anyone,
after that.
but they certainly shouldn't
But
be
at the
giving
same
it
time,
to
it's
him.
just
That's a
crazy
big break for
because
the
it's
defense.
like
Harden can't hit.
she went to the police
For
and
Houston,
said this
they've gone
man
3 of
is
4.
unsafe
Off
for
to a
my
nice
kids,
start.
and then
Here's
this
Green.
proves
And he's
proving
going
that
to the line
she
for
is a
2.
liability
The
and a
official saw
threat to
contact while he
him
was
and
going
the
up.
child.
It goes on
She
Nick
took
Batum.
his
And
loaded
for
gun
Green,
and
it's about
had the
trying to
child
be
with her.
consistent. He has talent, and he needs to play
She
to
said
his
she
strengths.
has a knife and is
So
going to
interesting,
kill
Grant.
herself if
Younger
DDG
fans
doesn't
may not
answer the
realize the
phone.
Clippers had a lot
She
of rough
accused him
seasons
of
early
cheating
on.
Well,
with
you know,
minimal
BA, that's
evidence.
one way to put it. You know, in their first 27 years in L.A.,
There's
they
more
only
than
made
a
the
substantial
playoffs 4
amount of.
times.
Here's the thing that they
But
don't
things
realize.
have
If they had
definitely
a true,
changed.
like,
Owners
court
have
case
changed,
like
and
Johnny
now
Depp
they're
type BS,
postseason regulars
she
in
would
the
be
league.
forced to admit the entire
And it's
truth
Houston's ball.
under
And let's
oath.
send it over to Allie
Meaning
LaForce.
that if
A bit ago, Ime Udoka
Hallie,
took the
if the
jack.
question
To no
was,
one's
did you
surprise,
go
their
to
focus
out of
defensively
town
is
with Brent
uncontaining Kawhi
Fayez?
Leonard.
No,
Coach said Kawhi is a
I
terrific
did not go out of
decision-maker
town
and
with Brent
always manages
Fayez.
to play the game at his
And Brent
pace.
Fayez
So they
is
need
a
to get
witness.
into
Well,
him, apply
first
some
off, he ain't
pressure,
even
and
gonna
try
be
to
a
make him
witness in the
uncomfortable.
court.
History
But they're
shows
gonna
that will
ask to
not be an
invest.
easy
They're gonna
task, BA.
investigate the
Thanks for that,
situation.
Allie.
They're gonna
Here's
go
the
through
great.
her contacts. They're
Following
gonna
the
see
score
who
by the
she's
Clippers.
contacted and when she
Here's Van
contacted him and
Vliet.
where she contacted
Gets an
him at,
open look and
so that
hits
she
it.
can pull the
And the
information up.
luxury of having Van
DDG's
Vliet.
crew ain't
He
gonna
doesn't
pull him
need
up
the
as a
ball to
witness
score.
involving a
Frank can
man
work
in
off the rock
and
and be a spot-up shooter.
and
here's Leonard.
your legal
his
your
last
legal
outing,
issues
16
to
points
further
for him.
worsen your
He's giving
image.
his
That's not
all,
even a
but you
logical
can't force
attempt
yourself back on track.
Van Vliet, the
being
pass to
of
the
getting
Green.
the right thing done. What he's gonna do
Outside, Green.
is his crew is probably gonna, or his camp, or I don't
Here's
know
the
what
great
the terminology
Leonard
is going to the legal
Good
stuff.
man. The
Is gonna
defender
look
really went
into
after him.
Houston shooting their third and
it,
fourth
and they're
free
gonna
throw
find
attempts of the
information
game.
that Pally is
No good on the free
meeting
throw.
up with men, and that DDG has
Good on
no
the second
idea that she was in relationships with, and taking her son out
Clippers
of the
trail by
country
3.
with them, possibly sharing the same room with
Batum
them,
outside.
and putting the son in possible danger because he is unaware of
First
who
quarter
she
of
has
play and
around
just
the
over
game.
3.5 minutes in.
Since DDG YouTubes everything and streams
Zubac with a
everything,
screen on Van Vliet. Harden, the pass
everything
to
can
Zubac.
be seen. Majority of everything can be seen that
It's
he
holding by
does.
Houston.
So when
Drake's got
DDG is
4
with
rebounds
Halo,
now.
there is visual evidence. When DDG is not with Halo, there is visual
Back to Van
evidence that he's not with Halo. There is at least
To the inside.
60%
Great.
of DDG's
The kick out to Van
day
Vliet.
is
Shot clock at
either
6.
streamed or
The
recorded,
great, the pass to Van Vliet.
meaning that there's about 60% of his life is the evidence that they
Houston
need
with another
for
miss.
the, like, court
And
case
it's
or
foul the
whatever.
ball for the
Da, da, da.
Clippers.
But the thing is
They trail
this,
by
like, the
3.
woman has
They
shown
come into this
for
one
the
having
past 3
outplayed
years
the
that
Thunder
she's
in their last
danger
game.
to herself,
Sometimes it's
a
difficult to
danger
get
to
good
DDG,
looks
and
on the
DDG
road, but they
gave
ran
her
the offense
benefit of the
brilliantly.
doubt.
Well, it was probably a
But
good
Daryl
feeling
asked him
in
this:
that
if
last
DDG
game that the
knew,
mid-range
Daryl,
work,
if
the
you
long
knew
range
that
work,
she was a
the
threat
inside game work,
to your
the best
her own
feeling was the
mental
crowd
health
leaving
and
that
well-being,
building,
why
not in a
would you
good
have a
mood.
dog, a kid
All
with
right, the
her?
Rockets
Why
making
would
a
you have a
switch here.
child with her?
Easton's checked in. And a
Does
switch
that
here
make
also for the
sense to you,
Clippers.
Daryl, that you would have a
Bogdanovich is checked
child
in.
with someone who's
And no matter how
mentally
many minutes he gets,
unstable?
Norm Powell is always ready to
And
shoot.
is it
Brett.
fair to
And
say
BA,
that your
Norman
actions
Powell
may have
has
driven her to
consistently
this
been in
point?
that Be Ready club off the bench.
That's how they do you in court.
Score a
And if
bunch
you
of
say,
points for
I
his
don't think
team
it
and
has,
spark the
well,
offense.
Daryl, there's a lot
This
of
guy has been
evidence pointing
aggressive
to
from day
that
one,
fact
and it
that
doesn't
what
matter
you
where he
do
is, he knows his role.
leads to
Now here's
a
Harden.
reaction.
Coming off a solid
So is
outing
it fair
against
to
Oklahoma
say that
City.
when Hallie and you got in your argument that you pushed her to the point in which she felt comfortable enough to get aggressive with you,
This
to
one
put
for
her
3.
hands on you? And
Rockets
in
with
the
a
midst of her
rebound.
putting
You could
her
see he
hands
wanted to
on
get
you
it
or
back. Sadly, he
reacting
couldn't
to your
capitalize from outside
aggressive
the arc.
nature
Green, the pass to the
and your
Green.
lack thereof for empathy towards her,
Back to
and
Green.
you took
There's a
advantage of
screen.
her being aggressive,
Pass to the
and
Great.
you manhandled, and you
And there's the
just
slam.
completely
Dunk to finish it
destroyed
off.
Yeah, no
the
question
relationship
Van Vliet
you
was
built
going
with
to
her
find his
by
man.
slamming
He
your
has
face into
excellent
the
court
steering
vision.
wheel. Mr. Van Damme, is that what you did, Mr. Van Damme?
Harden
Is
surveying the
that
D.
what you did? That's how they move, bro. She gonna have some of the best lawyers in the world, I guarantee.
Oh, and makes
She
it
only
with the
loses
kiss.
this case
Yeah, here's a list of things
if she makes
don't
it,
want to
if she
do, and right at the
extends this
top
entire
is guard
case.
that guy.
Houston
That's the
leading
only
by
way she
4.
loses. She doesn't lose any other way because
Outside Eason.
she either drops the, she
Here's the break.
either
Denied by Leonard.
will work
One
with
of the most
DDG, but
versatile
still
defenders in
the claims will
NBA.
go
Kawhi
unsolved,
Leonard getting all of
or
that
she's
work.
gonna elongate this and lose the case.
Pass to Batum.
Playing a long
And
game
here's
in this
Harden.
case is not gonna work. They're gonna use it to find more evidence to
Outside
prove that
Bogdanovich.
DDG is the reason
it's all
for a
from
majority of her
three-point
actions.
The Rockets
With
have
like
had
the new
6 of 10
information,
attempts
it's fair to
fall.
say that.
Here's the
I mean,
break.
I think DDG probably has
And the
a
shot
great
goes.
lawyer in his pocket
break's got 9.
because I mean,
Getting out
he
to a nice
even got himself
lead.
released off a gun
Great
charge.
flow and
And it
great
wasn't even a gun
execution.
charge in which he was
Clippers trail
being
by
harmful.
6.
It was the fact of what attachments were a
Batum
part of the gun.
outside.
That's the gun charge he received. Where he
Leonard
had
outside.
it, what attachments were attached. It wasn't even the fact that he couldn't have a gun. He had his license.
Pass to Zubac.
It was just the
And
fact
it's
that
slammed in
where
by
he had it
Zubac.
and what was attached
That's
to
a
it
nice
and all the other
opportunity for
legal
Zubac, and he
logistics
cashes
stuff.
in.
Not even the
For
fact
Houston,
that he
they've got
couldn't
7 of
possibly
11
own
shots
a
to find the
gun
mark.
legally in the US.
Here's the great
Circumstantial
Leonard
things like
defending. Here's
of the
Landale.
attachments you have, the color of this is similar to what we have as a police issue.
The great, the pass to
And
Landale.
things like
5 on the
that.
clock.
Like, that's
Now Green.
the criminal history that
Pass
is
to Van Vliet.
attached to
Takes
his
the
name.
3. Sinks it from
That
distance.
gun charge
Give
gets
him 8
attached
points
to his
now.
name.
And timeout
It's
called by
due
Ty
to
Lue. He wants
him
a few
having a
moments to
gun in his
regroup with his
pocket.
players. This is the first they're seeing of Houston.
That's
And
the
they were
level.
the odds-on favorite in this matchup last year. But
Does he have a
actually lost the
history
season
of
series.
cheating? allegedly. There has been no guaranteed, solidified answer to his history of cheating. Not no maybe or it's hinting at or we're 95% sure. There's no 150% chance of honesty of him being a cheater. So whatever she's done to get to this point, consisting of taking screenshots, she, in a restraining order, she brought 60 pages almost. DDG brought almost 200 pages. That's the level. When you defend yourself, you have to bring more than what's been put on the table to burn you. And when there's a lot of ice for them to burn through, just because the flame is still burning and the heat is still rising, it does not mean that the ice is melting. Only time the ice melts completely is when the heat sends it out. So in this case,
Dunn, he's checked
she
in for the
brought fire,
Clippers.
and
Simmons
DDG
comes in for Harden.
is bringing
And
out a lot of
chance to see
ice.
the latest edition
And
of
she
the
wants to
power
melt his
rankings.
ice to turn
Always
into
fun
water,
to see where everyone in the league stands.
so she can boil
Taking
that
a look
water
at
and use it
Minnesota.
again.
They're making moves up the standing.
And it's not going to work. As a fact, there's more than enough suitable evidence
It's
that
going with
would
a whole
infer
new
that
group out
she is
there.
a
Eubanks, he's checked in for the Clippers.
threat to the well-being of her child, herself, and to the youth. That's the level of this witness.
Pass to Leonard. Inside. Ooh, stolen by Smith. Van Vliet and Green, they're manning the backcourt. Green out there with Smith, and it's the great, and at the small forward position. So that's who's on the floor for the Rockets. Here's Smith, defended by Bogdanovich. 4 on the clock. The great, the pass to Van Vliet. Misses the 3. Clippers trail by 19. Pass to Bogdanovich. And the Clippers miss
Just
again.
do joint custody. Custody
The
he
Rockets have
does
got 2 of
look
3
a
shots to
more
go in the second.
invasive job.
The great, the
Whenever
pass to
you
Green.
sign your contracts to work your jobs,
Here's the
make
great.
sure that they can fit the circumstances that are set for the line.
Smith outside.
The circumstances don't fit, then are
Here's the great.
not
Eubanks
ideal
defending.
for the plan, the situation.
Right at the free throw line. The great. No good.
Yeah, that miss might stick
That's
with him for a
when
little while. That's kind of a shoot-around
adjustment
jumper
is
if I've ever seen one.
There's Bogdanovich with the 3. Knocks down the long J.